Hey, did you get kicked out of your last church for sticking a firecracker in the preacher's mailbox? Are you still growing out of your adolescent pranking phase? Well, congratulations! You might be a Trickery Cleric. But what is a Trickery Cleric? Well, start warming up your crank calls, practice relentlessly on your 3-card Monty, and find yourself a dumb-looking mark, because it's time to get tricky.
It's tricky, 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 tricky.
Is there anything in this world better than a good prank? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I can't think of a better way to tell my friends and loved ones I care about them than by replacing all their family photos with pictures of Steve Buscemi or leaving a flaming bag of dog poo on their porch. That's just my little way of showing my love. And yes, I was tested as a kid. Why do you ask? But I can't be alone, right? For every goody two-shoes holier-than-thou paladin who just needs to learn to take a joke, there's gotta be someone out there who can sow a little chaos. And maybe that's us. You see, the Trickery Cleric rides that fine line between good and bad, between order and insanity, and in my opinion, brings a little levity to a pretty stagnant D&D class. Clerics generally are pretty flexible in terms of utility, only outshined in subclasses by the wizard, but hey, that's how favoritism works. But I think they also have a hard time grasping the imagination of some players, as they have a reputation for being a support-focused blaster caster with some fun roleplay. Oh, what's that? You like the gods of undeath? Yeah, that's cool, just don't forget to pick up Guiding Bolt and Healing Word, or the party will hate you. But like the best tricksters, the Trickery Cleric does something unique by choosing door number 3, instead relying on great roleplay spells and abilities to create something wholly its own. And while the popularity of this subclass has skyrocketed in recent years thanks to one particularly incredible player, not to mention everyone's first love in BG3, even though Karlak is clearly a goddess, and her nickname is Shart, the Trickery Cleric has wedged itself a nice space in the D&D community amongst the sea of cleric subclasses. And that's no joke. But you know what's really tricky? Being a good DM. Between the time it takes to plan a session, craft a new and exciting experience for your players, and have fun doing it, it can be a challenge to make that balance work. That's why when I get stuck, I turn to the most reliable toolset out there, World Anvil. World Anvil is the absolute best site when it comes to writing, designing, and presenting your custom campaign. Whether you're playing the classic Dungeons and Dongos or the competition, Nissan Pathfinder, World Anvil has you covered with support for over 45 RPG systems with interactive maps, extensive timelines, and much, much more. But even if you don't play the old tabletops as much as your friends, you can still find plenty to love with all the writing tools World Anvil has to offer to keep track of complex character arcs, organize your thoughts, and publish the next great novel. And as always, all this great stuff is 100% free to try. But if you love World Anvil and want to play with even more exclusive features, be sure to use my link below and the code YMBADND at checkout for 51% off for a year. Once again, that's YMBADND at checkout for 51% off for a year. So, go forge your next adventure with World Anvil. A huge thanks to World Anvil for sponsoring the show. And now, back to the video. So you want to find out what it takes to be the Prince of Pranksters, the Gambino of Gags, and the Twisted Top Dog of Tumultuous Tomfoolery? Well, luckily for you, and unluckily for the local townsfolk, your obsession with shoving whoopee cushions under everyone's seats has somehow granted you a higher connection to some divine understanding. And while some clerics may use that connection to get in contact with a god who specializes in their field, it's not necessarily a requirement for the position as long as you cause a sufficient amount of mayhem wherever you go. But whether we pray to them or not, the gods of mischief do grant us some of their power in the form of spellcasting. And while spellcasting for a cleric is incredibly powerful, as we get the entire list of spells to choose from at our given level, we also pick up domain spells that let us pull off dumber stuff than an episode of Punk'd. Do y'all remember Punk'd? Or am I just old? But that'll give us Charm Person, a fantastic little spell for when a prank goes too far and we have to talk our way out of trouble, letting us subtly mind control a humanoid on a failed wisdom save into treating us like their best friend for an hour, as well as Disguise Self, so you can ruin the reputation of someone you don't care for by taking their likeness and running through town with everything on display. You also get the Blessing of the Trickster, so you can touch yourself, stop it, or a willing creature, double stop it, and give them advantage on stealth checks for an hour or until you use it again. But the great thing about this is there's no limit to how many times you can bless someone a day, so you can trade it around the party to help out those clunky plate mailers, or save it all for yourself to never be spotted when pulling off your next great stunt.
Nice to meet you. F*** you. You just got pranked, bro.
Second level lets us channel our divinity with some cool abilities, and like all cleric, that means our divine magic can turn the undead, sending zombos and skelly boys running with the mere sight of your heavenly, probably magic, forcing them to make a wisdom saving throw or else do their best to get away from you. But everyone's here for our other option, Invoke Duplicity. Invoke Duplicity rocks, as it allows you to create an illusory double of yourself for a minute as an action that can move with the use of your bonus action. But the best part about your double is that you can use it to give yourself advantage on attack rolls if you and your double are within 5 feet of the target, and you can cast spells from its location instead of your own, giving you much more reach with some of your spells and the ability to target around obstacles. And while I like this ability a lot, the only thing that's rough about it is the fact that the double does take your concentration to hold onto, meaning while it's up, you'll unfortunately lose the double if you need to cast a concentration spell or if you take a nasty hit. But that's okay. We all know the real use for your double is to have a scapegoat for when you get caught putting laxatives in the mayor's lunch and need to make a quick getaway. You also get Harness Divine Power to give yourself another spell slot as a bonus action, but it takes the use of your channel divinity, so maybe just don't. Third level gets us second level spells because D&D is confusing and made by dummies, but allows us to pick up Pass Without Trace, an excellent spell for espionage as it gives you and each creature you choose within 30 feet a straight +10 to all stealth rolls, and you can't be tracked except by magical means, meaning escaping the law after a bad prank just got much easier. And Mirror Image, which allows you to create even more duplicates of yourself, with these acting as meat shields, or I guess lack of meat shields, that disappear one at a time when hit, though you must roll to see whether the attack hits you or the duplicate. But this is an incredible defensive spell, perfect for making sure you take less damage against straight attacks and helping you really fill out that Nudo cosplay you've been working on. At 5th level, we upgrade our Turn Undead to Destroy Undead, automatically shredding any undead creatures that fall below a certain challenge rating, but we also pick up 2 more domain spells. Blink is a blink and you'll miss it type spell, letting you shunt yourself into the astral plane at the end of your turn. While you're there, you can still see the real world around you, as well as move 10 feet in any direction, reappearing at the beginning of your next turn. This spell is perfect for bouncing around the battlefield and avoiding getting hit by the bad guys, but be careful, this spell is like a jukebox in an old sitcom, and it only works like half the time. But we also get Dispel Magic, which can get rid of most spell effects on a creature or object, which is honestly kind of the best prank ever. And with a really solid range of 120 feet, it's not a bad strategy to wait for the evil wizard to get nice and high before completely shutting down their winged boots. At level 6, we get another use of our channel divinity, so we might as well get another option, and the Cloak of Shadows is not bad, allowing you to become invisible as an action until the end of your next turn. Actually, did I say not bad? I meant kinda bad. I mean, it's not the worst and could help you out of a tight spot if you really needed the bad guys not to see you, but the duration is so short the uses will be pretty situational. But object interactions don't break the invisibility, so tying some guy's shoelaces together and watching them eat it on the grass could be fun. But what's even more fun are our 7th level, 4th level spells. Say that 5 times fast. Like Dimension Door for a long range teleport of 500 feet that can go through walls, and Polymorph, which is actually just broken. Polymorph is so good because while it's funny to turn an evil overlord into a snail and make fun of its stupid slimy snail face, it's also one of the most powerful offensive spells in the game, letting you transform a teammate into a rampaging giant gorilla and watch as they tear through the battlefield with 157 hit points at level 7. It's really nasty, like just stupid strong. But at 8th level, we get our choice between Divine Strikes or Blessed Strike, with the first one giving you an extra D8 of poison damage to weapon attacks that increases to 2d8 at level 14, and the second one giving you an extra 1d8 to both weapon attacks and cantrips. And while I think they're equally fine, every time we talk about this ability, somebody yells at me that objectively one is clearly better than the other, so just pick your favorite. Because it's 9th level and this is the good. We start out strong with the 5th level spell Dominate Person, which allows you to completely take over the mind of a creature for 1 minute on a failed wisdom save, forcing them to pretty much do whatever you say, no action required, which means fight on your behalf, fetch you something to drink, or pants the guy who talked down to you at a royal ball. That's fun. But the best of the best is Modify Memory. Modify Memory is an insanely powerful spell, letting you influence the actual memories of a creature you cast it on. If the creature fails a wisdom save, you can then alter up to 10 minutes of the creature's memories that occurred within the last 24 hours, and change little details to subtly affect their decisions, or completely erase and replace certain events they just need to forget about. But the insane variety of uses this has to mess with people is amazing. Start a bar fight by making the biggest guy in the room think another guy called him a sissy, or make the local shopkeeper remember you already paid them for these incredibly expensive magic items, you're just here to pick them up. Or best of all, make your date forget that you were so nervous when you met them that you squeaked out a fart introducing yourself. But if that lingers too long, you might have to call on your god for backup, so it's good we also have some divine intervention. This ability at 10th level allows you to roll a D100 once a day to call upon some help from your god in a time of need. The number rolled has to be below your cleric level, so there's only a 10% chance of it working right now, but if you pull it off, you can essentially ask for anything and your DM decides what happens. And don't be afraid to get weird with it. There's a lot of cleric spells for your DM to pull from, and a good one will definitely facilitate, even if it's really stupid.
The world's most comfortable pair of ultra soft.
Our next ability is all the way up there at 17th level, so before that, make sure to grab those super powerful cleric spells like Hero's Feast, Conjure Celestial, Control the Weather, or True Resurrection, as our humble, mischievous malcontent learns to harness the powers of a god. But when we finally make it, we're rewarded with improved duplicity. Now, instead of just one, we can create 4 duplicates of ourselves when we invoke duplicity, which I guess should now be called quadruplicity, allowing us to once again cast from any of the 4 and really just confuse the shit out of anybody trying to fight this mess. But don't forget, we can also stack mirror image on top for 8. Count 'em, 8 jumpin' jesters just juicing to jack your jorts. Whoo! Now say that one 5 times fast. And that's kind of the Cleric Capstone. 18th level gets us another use of our channel Divinity, and 20th level lets us talk to their god and make them actually listen, but nothing really beats a small army of prank show hosts decked out with whoopee cushions running directly at you. But does this cleric really do the trick? Deal with it. Listen, let's be real for just a minute. Clerics in general are just a good class all around, especially for those trying to learn to get better at the game. Not only are they solidly powerful, you really can't go wrong with any of the subclasses roleplay-wise, as they each give enough flavor without pushing you in a single direction. And I think that's what the Trickery Cleric excels at. You have all the things here to make a compelling and lovable character that does their part in combat, while also having plenty to do outside of it, and that's really nice. Some like to call this subclass weak, and while I think it suffers slightly from what I like to call the player's handbook effect, I actually still think it's pretty darn good for what it's going for. And while no, it's not as mechanically strong as something like the Grave or Twilight Clerics, you don't have to be fun in this game. The only drawback from this subclass is the amount it relies on your DM to play along with your abilities, and I think that could possibly cause some issues. A few of these abilities, like your Invoke Duplicity, may invite some decisions, like an enemy choosing to chase the double instead of you, that a busy DM could overlook. But besides that, it's really solid. So if you've ever had a show that aired on MTV at 3 in the morning, or a pizza shop's worst nightmare over the phone, and once convinced the city council that running a giant shopping cart into a building was part of your religious observance, guess what? You might be a Trickery Cleric. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Really quick before I go, I just want to tell you about one of my favorite pranks I ever pulled. A long time ago, I got accidentally put on this massive group chat with like 200 boomers, all of which had no clue why they were being put together. So naturally, as boomers do, they started texting the word stop over and over and over and over and over again, and my phone is blowing up for hours with just the word stop. Many of us in the group chat tried to tell the boomers that that's not how phones work, but to no avail, and eventually I had had enough. So, to have some fun, I typed in, "Hi, welcome to Text Assist. To exit this group chat, please enter the word peanut butter now. Thank you." To which I was promptly bombarded with the word peanut butter for the next 8 hours until someone killed the group chat. And I laughed so hard, I got the hiccups. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and thanks to the patrons, Tedsy, Miles Not Yard, Sora Sense, Spider Lover, and King Osiris, and catch me on Discord for more stories like that one. But until next time, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you soon.